Okay, Happy New Year, everyone. If getting your finances sorted is on your mind for this year, well, you're definitely in the right spot. Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah, we're kicking things off this year looking at, how to actually set financial goals and maybe more importantly, how to really achieve them.
Exactly. And we've got some really interesting stuff to unpack today. Our source is actually a replay from a live online session. It was led by Ladero Wharf of Notary Know, Georgia.
Mm.
Now, okay, it was geared towards notaries, but the core ideas about setting financial goals, they're pretty universal, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Think of this as us kind of digging through that specific conversation to pull out the nuggets, the actionable stuff that anyone can use no matter what field they're in.
Right. We're filtering out the side chats and focusing on the practical strategies.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to deliver those aha moments.
The practical steps, the mindset shifts, things that help you clarify your financial goals and actually map out how to get there.
And it's interesting because the original group had people at all sorts of experience levels. Yeah.
Yeah, which actually makes the insight stronger, I think. It shows these ideas work whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for years.
Okay, so Ladero started off that session really focusing on creating a supportive space, building community.
Which is so important. And what stood out to me was the move to create a dedicated, free notary community hub.
Right. Partly driven by, the fact that relying just on platforms like TikTok or whatever,
Hmm.
you can be a bit shaky, can't it?
Totally unstable. You need your own space, something you have more control over, building on rented land, as they say.
Makes sense. And there was talk of state-specific groups, too, starting with Georgia, obviously, given Ladero's base there. The link's in my profile if anyone's interested in that specific community, by the way.
But the bigger idea is connection, right?
Yeah,
Having that network.
definitely. Okay, so let's dive into one of the core concepts from the session. This difference between wanting an outcome and focusing on the inputs, the actual work needed.
Ah, yes. This is such a common thing. We all want the nice result, the income goal, the financial freedom, but maybe don't always connect it to the consistent effort required day in, day out.
Ladero used a great example. Someone aiming for, I think it was $250,000 across their different businesses.
Wow, okay. Aiming high.
Yeah. And it wasn't just talk. There was mention of a six-figure mastermind group. It really shows the power of having peers who push you, who hold you accountable.
Oh, that accountability piece is huge. When you're in a group where everyone's serious, it just motivates you differently, doesn't it? You see them doing the work, and it makes you step up.
For sure. And to make it more real, Ladero shared some personal goals too, like $100,000 for a non-notary business, and then a goal to double the notary income each year. So for 2025, that'd be about $50,000.
See, sharing actual numbers like that makes it feel much more grounded, more accessible. It's not just abstract theory.
Yeah, it kind of makes you think, okay, if they're setting concrete targets, maybe I can too.
Yeah.
And then came the really practical part, breaking those big goals down. They started with a $500 monthly income goal as an example.
Right, just to illustrate the process. So $500 a month. Then you factor in, okay, how many days a week are you actually working on this?
In the example, it was 3 days a week.
Okay, so 3 days, that works out to what, $125 a week?
Yep. And then daily, that's only about $42.
And just seeing that number, $42 a day, it suddenly feels way less intimidating than $500 a month, doesn't it? It's simple math, but the psychology of it is powerful.
Totally. It turns this big, maybe overwhelming goal into something you can actually aim for today.
Makes it feel possible.
So then, to show how it scales, the example shifted to a higher target, $3,000 a month.
Okay, so a bigger goal. And this time the assumption was working 5 days a week.
Right, so 5 days. That bumps the weekly target up to $750.
And the daily target becomes $150.
And this is where it connects directly to strategy,
Yeah,
Knowing you need to hit $150 that day changes how you approach your work.
absolutely. It forces you to think about the type of work you're doing and what you're charging.
Yeah, like the comparison between general notary work, GMW, versus specialty notary work, S&W.
Right, so GMW might average, say, $45 an appointment. To hit $150, you'd need like 3 or 4 of those.
Around 4, yeah. Whereas with S&W, where the fees are higher, maybe $85, $95, even more.
You might only need 2 appointments to hit that same $150 target. Fewer appointments, same or better income.
Exactly. Which leads to the question, okay, where do you find that specialty work?
And Ladero gave some concrete examples: estate planning attorneys, assisted living facilities.
Even tattoo parlors,
Mm.
small mom-and-pop car dealerships, places that need specific documents handled reliably.
It's about identifying those niches, right?
Yeah,
Instead of just casting a wide net, focus on where the higher value work is likely to be.
for sure. And for the general work, the GMW, having a good online presence, Google, social media, that's still key for leads.
Definitely. But here's another interesting point that came up. Creating content like that live session itself, can actually bring in referrals indirectly.
Yeah, just putting value out there, showing your expertise, it builds trust and visibility.
Positions you as a go-to person. It's smart marketing, really.
It was also interesting hearing about how goals evolve. Ladero mentioned that way back, the daily goal was only $42
Wow, okay.
and linked that directly to just not having the self-belief yet, in the early days.
That really hits home, doesn't it? How much our mindset, what we think is possible, affects the goals we even dare to set. Sometimes the biggest hurdle is just believing you deserve or can achieve that higher number.
Totally. And contrasting that old $42 goal
Mm.
with the current bigger targets just shows that growth, that shift in perspective over time.
Yeah, as you get wins, gain experience, your confidence builds, and your sense of what's possible expands. Challenging those early limiting beliefs is crucial.
Okay, now here's a super practical tactic. Upselling.
Yeah.
Ethically, of course.
Yes. Making more from the clients you already have. Ladero shared a great story about a client needing documents notarized and shipped.
Right. So instead of just doing the notarization and saying goodbye.
You recognize the additional need. The client needs these shipped now, so you offer to help scan them, handle the FedEx or UPS drop-off.
For an extra fee, or maybe they offer a generous tip because it saves them so much hassle. In the story, it was like a $50 tip, wasn't it?
Yeah. On top of the regular fees, it's about leveraging your existing setup scanner, knowledge of shipping to provide more value and convenience.
It's a win-win. Clients happy, problem solved easily, you make more money from the same appointment time.
And builds loyalty. That client's more likely to call you next time or refer you because you went the extra mile. It's smart business.
Definitely. There was also a specific question about marketing to estate planning attorneys, a really key market for S&W.
Right. And the advice was a proactive, three-part email marketing strategy.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Find them, Google search for contact info, then reach out with targeted emails. Sounds like there were even specific resources for this shared in their Georgia group.
Shows a commitment to giving actionable advice, not just theory.
And there was a cool real-world bit, too, about just finding a family law attorney's business card somewhere and planning to follow up.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that leads can come from anywhere. You just have to be observant and then actually do something with that contact info.
Don't just stick it in a drawer.
Exactly. Follow-up, attending things like estate planning seminars was also mentioned.
Right, even if it's just for the free food, apparently.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe not just for the food. But seriously, it's a chance to network, grab business cards.
And then, crucially, follow up with a thoughtful email afterwards. Reference something from the seminar, perhaps.
Makes the connection stronger. And the same logic applies to virtual events, too, like webinars. Find ways to connect and follow up.
Yeah, adapt the strategy for online or offline. Makes sense.
It's all about taking that initiative.
It was also interesting how Ladero mentioned a recent local move, even a relatively small one, impacting business a bit.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Just highlights how sensitive things can be to local market dynamics, Your usual patterns might shift slightly.
That's a really good point, especially for mobile businesses. Your service area, travel times, local competition, it all matters. Something to keep in mind.
And that brought things back around to the community again, having that stable place to connect and share resources, regardless of platform shifts or small moves.
So then the conversation moved towards revenue goal planning specifically.
Yeah. Listeners were pointed to a workbook in the community's resources. Key point. It's for setting a baseline, a starting point, not a ceiling.
That's crucial. Know where you are, know your basic needs, but don't let that baseline limit your ambition.
And then a really powerful idea. One of the fastest ways to boost profit. Increase your prices.
If you can justify it with the value you provide, absolutely. It lets you shift from needing high volume to focusing on higher quality interaction.
And helps prevent burnout, right? Constantly chasing lots of low-paying gigs is exhausting.
Totally unsustainable for many people. And the point was made that your pricing has to reflect your individual expenses and needs.
Yeah, two notaries in the same town might have very different overheads or income requirements, so they might need to charge differently.
It's not one size fits all. You have to do the math for your own situation.
Looking ahead to 2025 then, the big theme was consistency. Just showing up, doing the work, day after day.
Consistency is king, isn't it? Whether it's marketing, outreach, service delivery, sporadic efforts just don't build momentum.
And Ladero's personal word for 2025, systematize or systemize, basically building systems to support that consistency.
Ah, that's smart. Good systems reduce friction, make sure things get done, free up mental energy, automate what you can, create checklists, workflows.
Makes consistency easier to achieve. And listeners were invited to share their own word for 2025 in the community too.
Nice. Creates that sense of shared focus, shared journey.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today, key takeaways seem to be set clear goals, break them down small, understand how those daily targets drive your strategy.
Especially pricing and marketing, finding those higher value niches.
Right, and don't forget the power of ethical upselling to boost income per client. And the importance of community and just constantly learning.
It really starts with defining what you want, then figuring out the specific, consistent actions the inputs needed to get there. Hopefully, these insights give people some practical frameworks.
Yeah, moving beyond just wishing to actually
Yeah.
doing. And hey, if that community aspect sounds good, the link's in my profile to check out that free notary group.
So maybe the thought to leave folks with is, what's one consistent action you can commit to this week? What system could help you stick with it?
Good one. And remember, you absolutely got this. Thanks for diving deep with us today.